Hello, welcome at WBP Stars. We gonna make a dish from lamb. This one, the lamb back, and we prepare it with some different beans, string beans, like a lukewarm salad. So don't expect like a hot plate. And then we have the lamb filet and some oyster from Zeeland, where we are at the moment. I start to prep the lamb back. Over here you see this beautiful line. Well, actually you have to cut sideways from that. This one is, by the way, 3 weeks aged. It's pretty long actually, because you see often that the lamb back is getting like regularly aged for like 10, 12, sometimes 14 days. But that means also you have to work a little bit more because it's dried in pretty hard. What makes it very nice and soft in the mouth. You just follow the bones. The beginning can be a little bit difficult sometimes, because you can't look really into the meat. That's why I always rip it open so you can see what you're doing. I honestly like, certainly with like filet, to don't play around too much with it. Every chef has his own opinion, and that's completely fine, of course. If we would be all the same, then it would be also not much fun to discover new restaurants, of course. So I rather put more technique and effort before inside than with the preparation of the meat. So now you can see already most part of the filet is off. Then it's actually getting pretty easy. Just follow the ribs down. This one is the 8 ribs. We always have it like in 8 ribs cut it, like we always order it. Here you have like the short ribs. So you can just go with the knife down, cut it through. Then you have only these 8 ribs left. Follow the ribs down, pull a little bit, not too much. And let the knife work for you. So a nice and sharp knife is very important. There you go. Over here, you see the beautiful meat. We take, well, I always like clean meat. So that means I don't serve it with the fat layer on top. So I take that all off. This is all fat actually. Some people like it, some people don't. Flavor is personal, and I'm not really a big fan of it. Certainly with really refined dishes, like this one with elegant flavors like beans, like oyster. Yeah, I think it would be a shame to overpower it with the fat of the lamb. Take that off. This goes into the jus, to the gravy. Then I always prefer then to take a different knife. This is a more hard knife for the bones, so it's getting also a little less sharp quickly. Then I cut down here. Some people say, yeah, okay, you should cut from the other side. I personally like this more because you get it better off the skin, and you have a nice, beautiful filet, almost directly clean finished. Then you trim it, just the small parts off. If there's maybe like a small piece of skin left, you just trim it off. Also check the other side again. Well, actually don't have to do much about this one. and then we portion it. We, for us personally, like have mostly 5 or 7 course menus, but we have also a pretty big a la carte menu. So a lot of people, certainly from Belgium, come especially back for our a la carte menu. And this a la carte menu they like a lot, so therefore we portion always a little bit bigger. For this one we always take 3 fingers, and then we have 2 persons out of a filet. And that's then for the 5 and the 7 course menu. This part is of course very dry. After dry aging, just cut it off. Then sometimes I trim it down a little bit to shape it a bit more. Some people say, oh, it's a shame because you cut meat. Yeah, I understand your point. But in the end of the day, I don't get more covers out of it. So rather, I trim it a little bit more beautiful, and I use this flavor in my stock than to serve something what looks less nice, because it's not waste. All right, a few nice pieces of the filet. Then, next step. Zou even maar een klein zakje, fucking meer zakje willen pakken? I personally always do this. Pak maar even, Nick. Nick? Pak maar even, dan kun je door. I personally do the next job rather without gloves, because otherwise the gloves are getting in between the meat and the foil. Cling film. We have the filet. Put it on. Cut the cling film. Roll it in. Tighten it up a little nice. That's nice and tight. So you get a beautiful round shape. So that's already very helpful. What I said before, that you trim the meat nicely, already a little bit round. Then you squeeze it carefully, not too much. Squeeze it in, roll it up, close it. All right, nice and firm. Then put it in a vacuum bag, and then we gonna vacuumate it. So put it in the vacuum machine on 100%, and then we put it in our reuner. So a warm water bath on 60 degrees, and depends a bit of the size, of course, of the filet. But then we cook it for around 20. Depends a bit, 18, 20, 22 minutes. Depends a bit of the size. And then afterwards I'm going to show you how we continue. Okay, then we start plating. Over here we have a beautiful glass plate. Like I said, it's not a hot plate, but lukewarm. Although we put it under the lamp, under the heating lamp. I'm gonna make a nice salad of string bean on the side. And you keep the middle of the plate free. So it can be nice, like alive, and a bit rustical. Just a little bit feeling inside, with natural waves. Then we're gonna put some small pieces of oyster from the oesterij here in Ierseke inside. So these pieces of oyster are raw. And it's the Oesterij speciaal oyster that we use. With that, some marinated beans, and we marinate it with a homemade sambal bacak. Then we have some onion pieces. So it's pickled in a white aceto balsamico. Cream from onion, from caramelized onions. Then we have some crispy fried beans in the salad. It's nice for a little crispy texture. Then we have actually some sea fennel. Gives a nice and powerful flavor in the dish. Not too much, because it can overpower quickly. Here we have, we call it zeemelde, so it's a small herb. Here, what's growing into the Oosterschelde, what we pick every week ourselves into the shells. Japanese sea berries, beautiful seaweed. And then we have some cream. So the cream is of BUCKTHORN. And then I'm going to show you how we poach our oysters. Very simple. Come over. This one shortly aside. Here we have the oysters. So actually, doe je hem ook nog draaien? Draaien. Nee toch? Ja. So we just poach the oysters a little bit in the juice. Give them a little bit of heat, so the texture is getting a little bit more firm. So we have actually like poached and then raw oyster on the plate. On the side here. So now you see, that's it. And then we put the heat down already. And we let it simmer a little bit in its liquid. Optiming. A little bit more of the warm juice. And you just feel on the oyster that it's getting a little bit more firm, just a bit more firm. nice in the liquid. The liquid is, by the way, just pure oyster juice. So just the salt water what comes out of the oyster. So we don't have any additional flavor because there are already enough flavors on the plate. For this plate, because it's so nice and elegant, we use actually a basic bouillon made from the bones of the lamb, not emulsified with butter or so, and also not too strong reduced, because otherwise you don't taste any of the garnish and the lamb anymore. That would be a shame. Bram, kan het allemaal erin? Alles erin?
Yeah.
All right, then we're gonna put actually this codium. We also take out of the shells here. Put this into the bouillon and let it soak for 15 minutes. Everything inside, also the small salt pieces, because this is dried codium. That gives then, moist is gone, flavor is reduced, gives even more flavor. We dehydrate this on 54 degrees overnight and we let it soak for 15 minutes. So then over here we're gonna pan fry the lamb. Even kijken, dingetje. Dus even aanleggen. Oh, doe wel op de plancha. Als die heet is. Ja. So we took the lamb out of the vacuum bag. Nice, tender, soft, as you can see. But then we gonna give it, of course, a little bit power on the plancha. We put some a little bit of oil on the plancha. We salt the back fillet. Oil is nice and hot. Plancha is on 300 degrees, by the way. Put it on. Directly with that, plancha is going a bit that side. Directly a nice piece of butter with it. And start to move the meat. So you get like completely a beautiful Maillard reaction on the meat. No clue if that's the correct English word. Nice golden brown by moving the meat. So you create also a kind of a bit of bernozette on the plancha. Not too long. Take the meat off. Little bit of the butter on top. That's it. Right, then we finish the meat. I prefer also, if it's a very small piece of meat actually, prefer also a nice long knife. So I can do it in one slice, nice and straight. So here you can see beautiful pink soft meat, a lot of moist still inside, as you can see. Don't squeeze it all out. Also, if you see on the cutting board, after the runner, after the warm water bath process, it was also in the holder mat for like 10-15 minutes at least, so the meat can completely relax again. Put it on a dripping towel for the last drips of the juice. in the middle of the plate. Put a warm poached oyster on top. Always with a nice, beautiful, thick part to the guests. And then we have our finished stock with the seaweed flavor, the codium, goes on top of the oyster and the meat. So there you go, in my opinion, a beautiful spring dish.